Bowls Buddies, good morning and welcome to another Friday and another edition of Ask Andy. Could be a bit depressing, this one. Anyway, we'll cart on with that in a minute. First of all, guys, thanks for joining me. Remember, if you enjoy these videos, please hit that like button. And if you're not already a Bowls Buddy and a member of this wonderful community, please hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free of charge. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for notifications of new content on the channel. So that's that out the way. You know I like to get it in early. So, had some great feedback from last week's show that I did about banter or bullying, you decide. And I've had some great feedback from the tutorial which finished off striking. There are a few bits and pieces I can still talk about with that, and I might do another one in a couple of weeks time. I've got a few episodes to do of that, so hopefully I'll try and get 3 or 4 done all in one go, and I can put my feet up for a bit. But those are going really well. If you have any suggestions of anything you want to see that I can do 10 minutes on, please comment below or get in touch via email. I'm pretty easy to find. So this is a bit of an amalgamation of two things that I was asked this last week, and one of the people was young Joe Michael Dickon, who is doing a project for his A-levels and needed to compare and contrast crown green bowling from back in the day to now. So I did something for him, and I looked back 30 years and just gave the comparisons, how things have changed. Maybe not why they've changed, but how they've changed. And then one of my regular contributors, Paul Hargreaves from Burnley, he emailed me asking, he's emailed me a couple of times, but I found the subject so depressing I couldn't bring myself to talk about it, but yet here I am. And it was about how to get crown green bowling back on TV and that whole subject, which I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly positive about our chances of ever getting back on TV, but I'll come to that in a bit. So the stuff I did for Joe Michael, I look back to when I was 17, so 1990 to today, so that's 30 years. And the things that really stood out for me was in 1990, at the age of 17, I was entering over 120 open competitions a season. There was 1,000 or more open competitions that people could enter. And thanks to the Arthur Land Diary, which of course is no more now, you could pick and choose your entries, all these comps all over the country. And my weekends generally started on a Friday night in a comp somewhere, and then I'd get up early Saturday morning. Me and my dad would go to 3 different comps, and we'd do the same again on a Sunday. That was our weekend, and we loved it, My last full season, so not last year, not 2019, 2018, I think I played in 20 competitions, around 20, maybe 22, but I played in about 22 competitions, and I probably could have entered more. I didn't really want to. My reasons for not going in every competition, I'm not as competitive as I was. The travelling is far more stressful these days. There's more traffic on the roads. It costs a small fortune to get to where you're going. The entry fees have quadrupled in some cases, and you're paying maybe £30 entry, which is fine, but yet the prize money hasn't increased the same. You know, sponsorship is now usually left to a handful of local businesses, or maybe a few individual sponsors putting money in, and whereas you were playing for maybe £1,000 first prize, I can't think of many that even approach that these days. Maybe again a handful of competitions. So that was one thing that's changed: the number of competitions, the entry fees, the cost of travelling. it's no wonder really that the competition side of things has been decimated. And as far as clubs are concerned, these are the people who put money in the club coffers. It's not necessarily the spectators who are going to watch, but when I used to go and I'd take the first wife and my 2 kids with me, you know, I'd be putting 30-40 quid over the food bar, over the drinks bar, etc, plus raffles, plus everything else. So maybe 50 quid, get everyone fed, get everyone watered, and that's fine. It's part of the hobby. Part of the hobby, didn't mind that at all. But when clubs don't have that source of income anymore, what happens to them? And that's the worry that I have with bowls at the minute. Given the situation with COVID, given the situation with bowling anyway, why would they want to keep a bowling green when it's not bringing in anything? Clubs are still having to pay to maintain greens at the minute, and yet there's no income. Financially, Crane Green bowling is an absolute no-brainer for clubs. And I know that there's already been several gone this year. There'll be more gone by the end of it. The number that have been turned into beer gardens and places to eat and all the rest of it is quite depressing. Another thing I pointed out to Joe Michael was, I seem to remember a figure being bandied about just after they did the lifetime membership for British Crown Green. A figure of around 250,000 bowlers playing Crown Green bowls in this country. Could be wrong, that I might have imagined it, but that was the sort of number that was being talked about, 250,000 people, and that stuck with me for years. And now we're being told there's only 80,000 registered bowlers, which, even if you add on a few that aren't registered and play in unregistered leagues, etc, and just social bowlers, if there's any more than 100,000 bowlers, I'd be amazed. So we've lost more than half of the bowlers that were playing 30 years ago. Obviously a lot of them's died and they've never been replaced, but people have just packed in. I can remember lots of players who used to be on the competition circuit, they're just packed in. They've not died, they just didn't want to play bowls anymore, which is a concern when you're giving up your weekends and everything else to play in these comps up and down the country to suddenly pack in. Lee Lawton is a prime example. He was winning all sorts. He was arguably top 3 in the country, and then decided he wanted to spend more time with his son and the rest of his family. It was packed in, and there was nobody keener than Lee. What is it about bowls that can make you turn your back like that? I mean, I'm still involved in bowls doing this, but I've played a handful of games this season. Have I enjoyed them? Yeah, it's been nice, but mainly because I've been seeing friends, seen people I haven't seen all year, and that's the only reason I've been going to places, to not necessarily for the bowling, but for more the social side of things. And the question I have is, what does Crown Green bowls have to do to get people back interested in playing bowls, not only socially but competitively? What would help? The topic we covered last week about the banter, I think that's put a lot of people off playing. I'll be honest with you. I really think it's more serious than a lot of people take it for. People don't want to be travelling to go to a comp and then spend all night being shouted at, and nonsense and horns and fishing rods and stuff like that. What's the attraction? What are they doing it for? Why would anyone put themselves through that? And then there's the other thing, television. And I know an awful lot of people at the top of the game, at the top of the administrative side of the game, really don't want television. They see it as a hassle, they're not interested in it, they don't understand why we would need it. And I have one very simple answer for that. If people don't know the game exists, how can they possibly play it. And if television isn't the best way to get into people's houses, I don't know. Yes, we've got the internet, we had the live streaming. That was deemed unnecessary, and that went. Then we got excellent viewing figures in the tens of thousands of people watching. A lot of them might never have seen bowls before, but if only one person takes it up after watching it, surely that's good. But so anyway, there's no streaming, we don't get into homes that way. There's no television, we don't get into homes that way. You don't just stumble on Crown Green bowling clubs. We're not particularly welcoming to outsiders, I think. That's my experience anyway, when I've gone anywhere. I've never seen open days, I've never seen adverts in papers, I've just never seen anything trying to drum up support and new bowlers for clubs. There's no drive for it. And if we've lost 100,000 plus bowlers in 30 years, it's not going to take too long for the 80,000 that we've currently got, or whatever number it is, to dwindle. Because everyone's getting older every day, and we're not replacing them with anyone. Golf has seen an absolute boom this year with COVID. It was one of the first sports to get itself sorted out and to get advice and to get people out on the course again. And yes, it's really easy to self distance on a golf course. You know, it's 18 holes for a start. There's an awful lot of area for you to be on. But bowls is really not, well, in fact we've seen a decline, but you know, is that because of the age group that we are? Most people over the age of 50 have really not really bothered to get back out and play bowls. It's a big concern. It's a big concern. If I know that there's kids in secondary schools that don't know what Crown Green bowls is. They don't know what a bowling green is. They've never heard of it. How do we change that? Is it any coincidence that the biggest influx of junior bowlers came in the 80s when there was 5 televised competitions on television a year? Is that just a coincidence? I don't think it is. I honestly don't think it is. And as I said to Paul Hargreaves via email, why would TV be interested in our game anymore? It's a shadow of what it was. If you follow the laws of the game, it's dull, it's boring, it's too long. And unless, as a sport, we were prepared to go to a television company and say, right, this is what we have, what do we need to change to get you interested? And then we'd do it, like cricket did with 2020 cricket. That's so popular now, it puts the test game in the shade. It even puts the day game in the shade, and county championship matches there's 5 men and a dog watching. But yet, if you want to get a 2020 ticket for Lancashire versus Yorkshire, you haven't got a lot of hope, because they could sell it out 10 times over. So we need a game, we need a sport that is snappier, that's quicker, that's got more action in it. Can we do that with our game? I think there's ways we could improve it. I think if we loosen the shackles a bit, let people express themselves a bit more without fear of reprisal or some beblazoned man kicking balls off, I think that would be a good start. Getting rid of blazers. Let's get into the 21st century. Why do you need a blazer? What's up with just a nice jacket, even a hoodie, tracksuit top? There's 101 different things you could wear there'd be an improvement on a Blazer and maybe make the game look a bit more modern. This is one of the reasons I've been reluctant to this, because it depresses me. The unfortunate thing for me is we never built on the foundations that they had in the 70s and 80s. They really got the game onto television, got it popular, filling comps with 1,000 entries, 2,000 for the Waterloo. We can't even keep the Waterloo open now. What chance have we got? You know, most competitions now are 64s maximum, 32s. Used to be 128s, 256s, 512s. They just don't exist anymore. There isn't that many players who want to play competitions. I don't know. I remember saying that the game was dying 20 years ago, and it's a long, slow, drawn out, painful death is this. And we'll become the minority of the minority sports very soon. There'll be games that you've never heard of more popular than Crown Green Bowls. Cornholing, now that's a great game. Watch that on YouTube. And all they're doing is tossing beanbags into a hole. Right, I've depressed myself enough. I'm going to stop there. I don't have any answers. That's my problem. I don't have any answers to put any of this right. Apart from television. But that won't happen. It will never happen. And I can't see Crown Green Bowling ever being on television again. Apart from if the Waterloo closes, obviously there'll be something on local telly maybe, but no, television and Crown Green Bowling are strangers, I'm afraid. Anyway guys, after that, don't have too depressing weekend. I'm off golfing. Why not? Something to do. I'll speak to you on Monday morning vlog. So guys, if you go on the green this weekend, please stay safe, and I'll see you on the other side.